house ain't done.
And I'm smoking dope, got me feeling so ooh, she's a thought, I'm a beat, I da beat it. And the style is raw, but I'm not no dumb suit. Swag blast, 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 swag blast. Shawty thicker than a smoothie. Sipping on this lean, got me feeling so woozy. Ooh, the swag, swag, if I swag, yes, I insist. Baby ballin', she dismissed. How much money on the list? Yes, the swag do exist. I fit red like crawfish. Mix the lean with the brick. Yes, put it on the spread. Let the bitch on bread. She wanna give a nigga tower lick on my airhead.
Jersey, I throw back in this bitch. Scuba diver wrist, deeper than the crackers and shit. Talking 7-year itch, got them diamonds out the ditch. Got designer from, what's her name? Can't even say that shit. Got some pussy from, what's her name? Don't even know that bitch. 40 bullets through the Carlton. Head back to the race, 1,000 miles from that's a Carlton. A foreign dude.
Got some rules right here. Yo, why you like me, yo? No, I ain't my fault. Why you like me, yo? Why you giving bitches up there?
Tonight court shit get real serious.
Futuristic bitch, I be tapped down. Talking about some low main bitch, I'm in the dragon house. Better call it, got a bounty on the way on my style. Better in my page, check the price now. Hey, just like my beach boy, it's making pass sounds. See virus, viral, new designer, Bella pull it out. Chopper on me, walk it out, I'd rather take a scenic route. Diamonds on my wrist, help me see around. I'm the Tesla, shawty, come and suck it out. Got it drop from the dock, all I sell is out. Got the new Goyard, throw the Gucci out. And I just fell in love with that gangsta, got it switch. Got rid of fast. Pull up a lap. Hop in the whip. Nigga, I'm crashing. Hop in the whip. Nigga, I'm crashing. Yeah, call up my wood. Yeah, call up my bro. Yeah, call it a game. Yeah, call it a home. Yeah, we going out. We doing the same.
One day maybe you were the leaf, maybe you were the fruit, I don't know. And you were on a tree, and you were on this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tree, and you thought it was gonna go on forever. You thought you were gonna be with your brothers and sisters in this wonderful nirvana forever, right? And you thought it was never gonna end, and life was gonna be, but then it changed. Right? Because what happens in life? Life changes, right? being prepared. Is there caps in there, Louis? Is there any spray caps?
Yo-yo. Baskuski. Howdooski.
Dude, I just got out of the craziest dream.
What? Again?
I was wild.
Yo.
So you know the Infinite Dungeon mod that I was working on?
Uh-oh.
Fucking, I was in that. But it was weird. There was like, it wasn't zombies and shit, it was fucking, I don't know how, this thing feels weird.
It is weird. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep it. So what was going on?
So it was like, I was in these corridors that were going, it was like the back rooms kind of. It was like infinite corridors forever. And I was surviving. I was like, barely surviving. I mean, like, it was like goblins and orcs and shit. And I had a screwdriver. And I was fucking stabbing them in the hearts, like dragging them down to the ground and fucking shanking them. And like, oh my god! And this dude showed up. Like they didn't have like weapons or anything. We were just like grappling each other and fucking, like, it was crazy. And there was this, like, I ended up, so I probably killed like 30 different creatures. Or 30 of those same like weird goblin humanoid creatures. And then fucking, like, I would find these rooms, these like this specific, it was like a bathroom that I would find, and there was a door that would open one way and it wouldn't, you could save the game in these rooms. It was weird. Like, I was like saving my progress, and time would only pass since the point that I saved. Like, if I don't even know if I died or whatever, but every time I would go back to that room, it was only like 10 minutes later on the clock. And then fucking, I would open up this door and walk into there, and then I don't know what happened, I would like be back where I was or something. I'm not sure, it was really confusing. But like, I just remember I crawled under this thing, and there were like, I would like drag an unconscious body under this like fucking ledge, and then I would take out my screwdrivers and I would fucking like end their lives with the screwdriver. and then fucking this dude showed up. He was like this black guy with really long blonde hair. And he showed up once and we were like talking to each other, and then he left. He just went off on his own. And then fucking like 10 minutes later, after I'm finished up like looting these bodies and I'm like almost finished. It was like I needed like 5 more minutes to finish what I was doing. And he comes running back, and there's like 30 fucking monsters chasing him. And he's like I need help. And fucking comes out of nowhere, and then we're fighting them, and then I'm like looking around and he's just getting mauled. He's like, I can't even see him anymore. I'm like, where are you? What? Who? Like, I couldn't even tell which one was him anymore. And then fucking like he got swarmed, and he's like screaming, and like he's getting like eaten by the fucking monsters. Like, they were eating him. And then I was like, fuck this, and I just started running. And I go through like 3 different corridors, and I fucking rip open a door and walk in, and it's that same room that I saved my progress in somehow. It was like a random room that I went into, and then I like turn over, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna save my progress, and then I'm about to fucking open this door, and then I look over to my left, and the door that I came into had a window in it, and I see this like very large like butcher-esque fucking long-haired, like black streaked long-haired fucking creepy thing just walk past the door. And I fucking like drop to the floor flat on my belly, and then it starts fucking like slamming on the door, and then I woke up. Like, it was
Where were you?
what I described did not. It did not.
That sounds scary.
Describe it well.
That sounds sketchy.
It was hella scary.
You're like in some. You were the goblin. became the goblin in the fucking
Yeah,
backwards.
it was weird.
That's
Weird. They were like humanoid, like entity monsters. And like when I ran, the rooms changed. I like opened up a door and went into a new area or something. When I ran from that, and I don't know who that freaking random black dude. He had like
You barely
super
imagine what
long
he looked like.
curly. He had super long curly blonde hair.
Like black Goldilocks, you get the fuck.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, but it was like, but his hair was a mess. It was like fucking.
been there.
It was like going crazy. Yeah.
What the fuck?
It was weird. It was just weird. I don't know what to fucking.
You should like.
I'm like,
If
oh my god, that was just
like
terrifying.
record what you're saying,
That was
because like that stuff is weird, like super cool, but like
Well,
very strange.
It just felt weird because I like didn't have any weapons, and I don't know where I got the screwdriver from. It was that tiny little red screwdriver that I had. That's all I had for a weapon. That one little tiny red screwdriver.
You're
And I was
kicking butt,
fucking.
though.
I was like, it was visceral. Like I would knock them out just by punching them. Like we would fight. We would like brawl with each other, and I would end up knocking them out because they were smaller than I was.
Whoa.
And then fucking I would drag them under this same spot every time. I would like drag their unconscious bodies in there, and there was a screwdriver in there. I would take the
What did
screwdriver
your room
and
look
fucking
like? What was like the little killer room? Like the little kitchen or something, or
no, it was just a
underneath the bed?
no. I don't know how to describe. Imagine you're in a room, right?
So
And
it's
the
more
wall is
physical
just
then.
cut off underneath, and there's just tiles. Like all the floor was tiles, and it was like gray brick walls or something.
You
with
should
these like
record
stone
this.
tiles underneath.
Or at least like
I don't want to. I don't really want to remember this anymore, but I have to tell you it.
yeah, please.
And like there was it was like this tall, right? And it was just fucking. Well, the rooms were like big. Sorry.
That's fine.
The rooms
You
were
still
big,
be-
like this.
Yeah.
Like an average sized room, and there were like hallways connecting them all, but there were no doors on any. There were no doors. You just.
It's like a
That's why I'm describing it like the backwards. There were no doors. Like if you found a door, that was weird. Like, and then I found this little nook thing, and I would crawl under there. I would drag their bodies in there to try and hide them and fucking like dispose of them. And I would take whatever they had. 'Cause sometimes they would have like belts with like pouches and stuff on them. And I would find food in their fucking like pouches. So it was like it was weird. It was like dried jerky and stuff that I would find in their bags.
That's good. That sounds
And I was, and like I must have found the weapon off of someone. I was dreaming that for like a good like 4 hours. Like it was, I didn't know I was dreaming either. I was like fucking yeah.
Yeah. I know.
I
what
kept
that
having
feeling
these. Aside from that, I kept having these like dreams of normal life, but then they would all of a sudden become lucid, and I would like fly away. But every time I tried to fly away through the ceiling, it was just black void every time. And I was like, no, that's scary. I'm going back. And then the dream would change into something completely different.
Your own
And I
simulation.
did that like 3 times.
You made your own simulation.
And then I ended up in that situation with all those freaking, I don't know what they were. And then, it was so sketchy when the dude came back with like 10 of them. He had like 10 things following him. And I just remember standing, like I killed one of them with the screwdriver, and I like pushed into a bunch of other ones, and then they all started eating it. They all like mauled that one. Started eating it, and then the dude, I look over to the left, and he's like surrounded by like a group of like 5 of them, and they're all like
Tearing him
on
up.
him, just tearing him up.
Fuck.
And I fucking like, I was like, I couldn't tell which one was him. I was gonna try to help him, but I couldn't tell which one was him because they all looked similar. Like it was weird.
You could make a game out of your dreams.
Like he came out of nowhere with a bunch of like himself following him, and they were like cannibals or something. It was weird.
Man, I wish I had dreams like that. I would write this stuff down and like put it on paper.
I'm like,
Don't want to go back there.
I don't want to go back. That was
sounds sketchy.
That was horrifying. Oh man, and then that was like the safest spot I had, and the dude shows up with like 10 of them, and then I fucking just ran away. And then I didn't know where the hell I was. I had one exit, which was just, it was like a, like, I don't know, it was like a door, right? It was a large metal door. The door I came through was wooden, and it had a doorknob that I opened up, and when I went on the inside, it closed behind me, and there was no handle for me to open it up and go back out that way.
Ominous.
Yeah, and then there was like a big mirror on the wall, and like a sink with, it was like a bathroom, kind of like a industrial bathroom that had like stalls and shit in it. And then on the other side of the room, there was another one of those doors, but it was like a latch. It was like one of those like things that you pull the latch up and it opens. And then I opened up the latch and looked on the other side, and there was no handle on it, and it was just a pitch black room. It was like, that was my only option to go. It was a pitch black room with a latch that was gonna lock behind me.
I want to do that.
And I had like these for some. I had like, I don't know what it was. I like look over to the right, and I like opened up the door, and I was gonna wedge something in there so I could. I had like one of these things. But I don't know why. But I was about to like wedge that in there, and I turn around and I see that fucking like weird, creepy butcher, like white pale zombie skin fucking. And I just see it like, it wasn't even walking, it just floats. It just like stationary.
That's
just
gross.
moved forward.
That's gross.
Yeah. And then I see that shit, I dive down, and then it fucking appears in the window and starts banging its fucking head on the door. Like,
Fuck that.
yeah, and then I was like, fuck that.
Even the rooms were trying to get you.
Yeah, and then I opened up the door, and I was about to wedge that thing in there, and then I was like, this has to be a dream. I'm waking myself up right now. And then here I am again. That was the craziest dream I've ever had. Like, that was just, oh my god.
Yeah, that sounds ridiculous.
It was scary. It was so scary. I'm like, my heart is still racing from that shit.
You want to see what I've been up to?
Sure, yeah. It's not. I don't want to think about that dream anymore.
So I've been in here for quite a while. Just do my thing.
When did you get up?
Around like maybe 10, 11.
Oh, okay. Because I don't know when I went to bed, like 5 or 6.
Yeah, I hadn't seen you guys. You guys like left and then.
Well, I went to work, and then Koa had said that they were going over to Matt's house, just a couple of them, to go play games or something.
What's up?
So I went over there, and played games with them for a little while. And then I got hungry, and they weren't gonna cook anything, so I decided to come home and eat.
That's the deal. I've just been doing Blender for a while. Let's see. Got Fergie.
Oh shit!
Learning
Oh,
how-
that's a lot more than I've ever done. You made a fucking frog. Is that one of the tutorials?
Yeah, but I haven't been able to connect the two. I was gonna turn him into a player model for CS2. I got another model that I haven't hooked up yet, but I will.
You like reading them? Whoa.
That's not it.
You have been making stuff though. I can see that.
Yeah, and I figured out how to import the models into CS2. There's a whole data pack for making. Let's see.
Making it compatible or something.
I found ways to. You could just take stuff straight off the internet and then put it right in.
Whoa.
I've learned how to do everything on here now. I can make a scene if I wanted to, make lighting scenes and stuff. Let's see. Let's get some materials. There are some really good assets on here that are free, and I'm gonna go ham on there and make this map really legit. Do some crazy stuff with this. And there's also ways. I was thinking of trying to make it like a game. What's going on? Can't
So
just.
you selected it all. Why isn't it on?
Yeah.
Why
Blender
isn't it
is.
putting that on?
Blender's stuff is really goofy for some reason. Like most of their tools are just really. They don't work well.
Yeah.
But it's.
There's probably a flow to it once you learn more.
It took me like 4 hours to figure out all the add-ons and stuff. Lighting, sun. Still kind of learning how this works. What's going on? Yeah, but I'm just learning the basics right now. I've learned how to import the materials into this type of stuff so I can make here's a good example of never mind. There's too many. Here we go. So these are Blender water. This is Blender water.
Wow.
I'm gonna add this into this.
Oh, that's gonna be cool.
And this guy on YouTube shows how to make the exact water that I'm looking for this map.
Oh, nice.
Let's see.
I'm like still shooken up by that tree.
Smart props are a new way to
I bet.
easily add extra details.
That sounds ridiculous, like actual nightmare fuel. This is the type of
Hi,
water I'm looking for.
I decided to
when
make
it
this
comes to
video
that map.
because the water material of my previous tutorial,
He's got the
but
whole
for some
thing all
reason
set
it
up.
doesn't work in Blender
So
4.
at one point, you're
So
walking
instead
through maps,
using
you'll
the
build
principal
yourself like
shader,
this.
we can use an emission shader, just lower the strength
Man, I hope you can make
and
that
choose a
work.
color.
That's gonna be super cool.
I'm literally a day into Blender.
Yeah.
Now
I've
for
already
those
made
who haven't
accounts for
seen the
all
tutorial, I'm gonna
sites
explain
for
the
Blender.
water material
I've made
again,
accounts, everything.
but also
So
I
I'll
wanna
be posting
explain
on
some
there.
things that I missed
I'll have my
in
work
the
up.
previous video.
Then if
Okay,
Valve
so
ever
I have my
looks at
scene ready here.
profile, I'll
Just
have a bunch
added
of
some
stuff on
models. You can find free models on my
All this stuff
Gumroad.
is free, so all you gotta do is make the
Maybe you
model
can
and
use
then put
something
the-
from there,
the textures
or
on
you can
there.
use
And if I
whatever
wanted
you
to, I
like.
can edit this stuff.
Yeah.
First of
So it
all,
won't be long until I have
I'm going to use
scenes that are
cycles
really nice, just like my map.
and render
way
it
more
with the
detailed.
GPU.
This stuff is nothing compared to
120 samples for preview,
and trying to
also
set up
enable the noise
models
for preview.
CS is so
Now
hard,
I'm
'cause
gonna
you have to-
change to
you have
render
to
preview.
restart. You'll gotta take the
For
material,
lighting,
make the
here in
material
the
for
world properties,
CS2, convert it, and then convert
Select the
model as
environment
well, and then
texture.
combine 'em. So it's each item.
and choose your
is-
HDR
I'm gonna
image.
do it in packets basically. So I'll put all the models into one file.
Now we are ready
And
to
then I'll
add
put
the water
yeah, have the textures,
with
and then I'll just do
Shift
it in
A,
one go.
add a cube,
If I didn't buy this PC, I wouldn't have been able to do any
and
of this.
just scale it
If I
up
didn't,
with S.
like, fight to get my
And
fucking
we can
color
scale
for
it
this
on the
shit,
Z-axis
I
by
would
pressing
never be able
S,
to do what
then
I
Z.
fucking, this is what I was
And
made
just
for.
make sure it
I was
has
made
enough
for this.
depth for the models.
I'm so
I'm
glad.
glad you found it, man. That's cool.
Now
Now
apply
I'm
the
learning
scale
AI
with
so I
Control
can
A.
use depth
Scale.
maps. I'm gonna
This
use
is
depth
just to
map
prevent
imaging
any
to
issue.
find good ideas.
Now I'm gonna open the shader editor.
So I've just been doing this all day
Yeah.
since yesterday.
Create the material
Do you wanna like watch a video or something?
and delete the shader. Now with Shift A, add a glass shader.
I need to do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like traumatized.
Also a transparent shader,
Sounds like it. It sounds really vivid.
and connect them with a mix shader.
I remember most of it. Holy shit. Too much, yeah.
Now just plug into the surface,
It wasn't super scary until the end when that dude showed up.
and we can change the color.
He was
Something
a really
important,
nice guy.
always check your normals. To
I
do that,
wanted to
go
help
over
him,
here,
and then I couldn't find him in all the chaos. Was he
click
standing
on
with
face
the
orientation.
No, he was like,
It should
he's
be
like-
in blue color.
I don't know.
Red
like
color
green
means inverted normals,
muscle guy.
and this can cause shading issues. So in
Yeah,
edit
yeah,
mode,
a lot
press
like
Alt
that.
N
Different-
and click
way
on
different
flip
face,
or
not- I mean,
recalculate
he had the
outside.
really long hair and stuff.
And now it looks correct.
What were you saying?
Do you want to go check out that tub?
Now add a light path. We can use the search
Out the
bar.
window?
Just type the name
Yeah, it is.
and connect each shadow ray into factor. Now in work properties, I'm gonna increase the strength to 3. Then here in the editor, change to word. Select the image and hit Ctrl T. If it doesn't work, go to add-ons and enable Node Wrangler. Now we can rotate the HDR image. Just move the Z value and we can rotate it like a sunlight until you find lighting that you like. Now let's go back to object and add a noise texture. Connect to normal. Now search for bump and connect between noise and glass, but instead normal connect to height and just increase the scale so we can make the waves. We can lower the strength in bump. For this I used 0.09. We can also add a mapping node. Just select the noise texture and press Ctrl T. We can also increase the scale here or increase only on one axis. Now the last step, add a volume absorption and connect to volume. We can change the density. This node absorbs the light as it passes through, so we can get a gradient effect. The deeper the water, the denser. For this I used 0.3 and now add an emission shader and connect them to an add shader. I'm gonna lower the strength in emission. Also pick a color and make it darker. And we can also pick a color in absorption. And we can play with the index of refraction, I or R. In roughness, I used 0.15 to make it less transparent. Now in the light path, with each shadow ray connected, I can see more reflections. It looks better to me. Now in render properties, under film, I use transparent to get rid of the background. Also in color management, I used filmic with medium high contrast. I also added an arrow light. And increase the strength in light properties. We need a high value, like 8000 or so. And you can also add a sunlight if you like. And that's it. Thank you.
For years now, apps like Substance Painter, 3D Code and Mari have rubbed in our faces how easily you can create amazing 3D textures. To achieve these textures, they use shading tricks with cool sounding names such as curvature maps, edge masking and even ambient occlusion. What if I told you that you can get all of this inside of Blender? Let's dive into these techniques so you can take your shading skills to the next level. We're going to start this off by creating a new material for this create object here.
Hyson, I don't have this model and I can't follow along.
Now, don't worry, you can download it for free from my Patreon. Just use the link in the description down below. Okay, so like I said, let's create a new material and give it an appropriate name. We're going to start by creating the base color for this object. I want this to have two colors, so I'm going to use a mix RGB node and set the top color here to a yellow orangish tint. For the bottom color, I'm going to use a bluish gray color. Now take our mix RGB node and plug it into the base color of the principled BSDF. The node now mixes the two colors together, and that's why it currently looks like a mess. Instead, I want to provide some sort of mask and plug that into the effector. We can do this by taking a gradient texture and a color ramp. Before we continue, I want you to make sure you have the Node Wrangler add-on enabled. So go to Preferences, Add-ons, and look up the Node Wrangler add-on and make sure you've got it enabled. Done? Good. Let's continue. Plug the gradient texture into the color ramp and select the texture node and hit Ctrl T. This will add a mapping and texture coordinate node which we can use to control the gradient. Now Ctrl Shift click on the color ramp node and this will create a preview of the output this node is providing. Since we can now see our gradient, let's tweak it. Set the ramp to constant instead of linear and move the white color stop. The gradient is there, but we need to rotate it so it matches our object properly. And this is where our mapping node comes in clutch. Change the rotate Y value to 90 90 degrees and immediately our gradient disappears. We can get it back by moving it around using the location values. In this case, we'll need to take the X value and take it into the negative. Align it as best as possible with the part that separates the top and bottom half of the crate. Awesome. Now let's take the ramp and plug it into the factor of our mix RGB node. Re-enable the principled BSDF by Ctrl-Shift clicking on that, and voila, we now have a perfect split between our two colors. Next, let's create several more smart masks, which we can use for our textures. Since most of these only work in cycles, make sure you're using cycles before continuing. Let's begin with creating a curvature map for our object. To make this, we'll need a geometry node and a color ramp. The geometry node provides loads of data for our object, and if I cycle through them, this is how they all look. Now, we'll only be using the pointiness value, so let's take that and plug it into our color ramp. If we tweak the color stops on a color ramp, we can add in a little bit more contrast on our curvature map. To adjust it a little more, let's take a gamma node, add it after the color ramp, and tweak the value until you're happy with the final result. Now this is what is called a curvature map, but we want to spice things up a little and add a little bit more variation. So let's add 2 more nodes, and in this case it's going to be a math node set to multiply and a noise texture node. Now take our gamma output and multiply it with the noise texture. You can now change the noise texture values until you get a variation result with which you're happy. Second, let's create an edge mask. To create this, we'll need a bevel node, a geometry node, a vector math node set to dot product, and a map range node. To clarify, the dot product is the sum of the 2 vectors and the cosine angle between them. So if we plug in the bevel node, which effectively tries to bevel these sharp edges, and then we take the normal output from our geometry node here and we combine them in our dot product node, it's going to look for the angle between these 2 vectors, which will be our edge mask. Since this results in a pretty faint map, we're going to use the map range node to tweak the result. So first of all, we need to flip it. So let's set the 2 min value in our map range to 1 and set the 2 max value in our map range to 0. Now let's play around with the values until you're happy with the result. But in my case, these are the values that I used. Like with the curvature map, we want to make this look a little less perfect. So we are going to add another map range node and a noise texture. Plug in the texture into the map range and plug the map range into the radius value of our bevel node. Now we can crank up the noise detail and roughness and tweak the 2 min and 2 max of our map range node to change up the edge mask roughness to our liking. The final mask we are going to create is the ambient occlusion mask. Now for those of you who don't know, ambient occlusion is a shading technique.
Okay. Hey, Dad. How's it going? Oh, I saw it afterwards. I saw that you joined afterwards, but isn't that pretty cool? I'm using my phone for a camera. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to. It's pretty much just blocks at the moment, but I'm just making the layout. Yeah. And I'm learning how to use Blender so I can take those materials and then put it into this engine. Yeah. Oh. Okie dokie. I might be stopping by sometime today. I'll call you if I do. Okie dokie. Bye. Okie dokie. Okay. realistic. So to start off, I'm going to show you the 4 object lights that you can use to light your scenes. So to add the light, now these light objects are realistic. So to start off, I'm going to show you the 4 object lights that you can use to light your scenes. So to add the lights, you can press Shift A, or you can also on my Gumroad store and Patreon page, you can get the project files for my different tutorials. You also get access to other 3D models and my procedural materials and other Blender content on my Gumroad and Patreon. In this case, this is a point light, so you can't actually see it rotating because it's just a circle, but you can rotate lights with the R key. And then if you want to duplicate a light,
Hello everyone, it's Jen from Old Tinker Studio. In this tutorial, we will be looking at Light tab. We see that we have 4 light options. Provides can be run. We now see that there is no fall off on the top of the cube and very little on the sides of the cube, and slightly less fall off on the bottom of the cube. This will be more evident when we change the color. Let's look at the options available to us. We have a preview window that will show us what the light will look like in this scene. We can change the color using the color picker. So if we change the color to a bright yellow, I'm using the hex code of FFD200. We now see that the cube has a yellow color highlight added to it from the sunlight. We can change how weak or how strong the sunlight is by changing the strength option. The specular option is for Eevee only, and we'll talk about that in a moment. The angle is the size of the sunlight according to
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Darkfall tutorial. So in this video we're going to be doing a kind of introduction to scripting for beginners. I mean, I'm still a beginner myself, but hopefully I can share with you guys some tips and things I've learned useful, so it's really good to hear. So the first thing we should do is set up our layout, so get comfortable. Now we have everything set up, what I'm going to do is save this, go to File, Save As. Need to put .py, Python, and then we can select from one of these templates to define the region. So paste this in, unregister this panel. Wrote this down, but I think in first, and now we can add a cube. Now if you wanted to make this work with your other add-ons, for example, if we go to preferences and if I type Darkfall, we can see we've got my add-on here and it works as a normal add-on does. We can remove it, we can install it from file. If you want to do that with your script, we will look at that in a future video. So I hope this introduction helps. If it did, be sure to give the video a like. If you guys have any suggestions on things you want to see, make sure you... Hey everybody and welcome back. Hey everybody and
Let's see how we can set default Python 9. So if I type if I type -0, as you can see I have 3 versions of Python installed. Now I have Python